What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to A Certain Point of View here on a Sunday evening. It is the crew. We are back for POV after what was a long weekend for me, anyway. And we got the what? I'm sorry. I decided to have a 3-day weekend, so I said it was a long weekend.
I was going to say I literally spent one of those long days with you, so I'm
just saying in general.
Thanks for the invite, guys.
Right?
If you guys were closer, you would have had an invite, but I don't think Molly would have flown 6 hours for a 6-hour.
I had a 3-day weekend. I could have made that 8-hour drive. Whatever.
I don't know. It seems like you guys had a pretty good Friday, though, Jill.
We did have a very nice Friday. I was about 2 seconds from buying some Ahsoka dual sabers, and I did not.
I'll probably be buying those tomorrow.
How you have the will to go to downtown Disney and not spend at least $100, I will never understand.
I mean, lunch was not cheap, so that was my spending money for the day.
Yeah.
But it was worth it because Black Tap was freaking bomb.
Yeah, that place looked awesome.
It was a lot of fun. Good.
Never even heard of it.
But maybe next month. Talk to me in about a month, and maybe I will have some lightsabers in display behind me.
Jake and I are getting our Star Wars stuff at 7 a.m. tomorrow when they release Galaxy Edge stuff on the Disney store. So.
Oh, geez, are they really?
Oh yeah, everything that I wanted in Celebration, I'm buying tomorrow. So
I wasn't planning on getting anything, but then I ended up winning my fantasy baseball, and I got $600 on coming on the way. So I'm like, okay.
That's Gabby's money.
No, sorry, and she knows that's not her money. No, and she's probably gonna say something in the background, but no, it's not yours. Anyway, Molly, how's your weekend going? Good Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of game streaming on Twitch. Figuring stuff out for that, getting ready for squadrons, doing custom layouts and everything for the streams that we'll be doing for that. So,
can we have a memorial for Alex's beard after squadrons is done? I'm really digging the beard, and I know he's ecstatic to shave it off, but I'm like, Alex, no, don't do it.
I think he'll probably he'll shave it off. Obviously, to just the mustache, but eventually he might grow it back. It's really scraggly right now.
I love it. I love the beard.
All right. Well, we are here tonight to discuss a lot in the Showdown, but we're also going to be joined by a rock star, if you will, that has popped up recently inside the Showdown, and that is rookie Adam Collins. He is currently rocking it in the singles tournament, 3-0 so far, and knocking out some big names. And he's got a big upcoming match this week, which we will see him face off against Brendan Meyer. So let's go ahead and bring in our guest here. And Mr. Adam the Coyote Collins is with us. How you doing, man?
Hey, evening all. Thanks for having me here. Big fan of the show.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I dig that shirt, man. That's so on brand.
Oh, thank you. I don't have any official licensing yet, so I stocked up on Coyote shirts.
I love it.
And I'm going to try and reveal them, as I can.
Smart.
There you go.
Smart.
I love it.
All right. So before we get into the questioning for Adam, just real quick, everyone, if you guys have questions for us or for Adam or anything, you guys can hit that Streamlabs link, which is right above me. It's in the description. If you want to send some questions in, go ahead and send them there for a member of Corruption. Yes, Kylie is very excited because someone Corruption is here tonight. And so send in those questions, guys. Get those going. As for now, we'll go ahead and start off with the question that we always ask our guests, and that is, what is it about the Showdown that keeps you coming back? First of all, as a fan, and now as a competitor.
I mean, it's really it scratches that itch as a film obsessive. That's what it's all about. I for the longest time thought I may have had a condition, and then I discovered Showdown. It was eye-opening to find this community as a fan first that shared my obsession, passion, whatever you want to call it. And, watching these competitors duke it out, was not only a really entertaining to watch, but because I've played trivia, for as long as I can remember, I enjoyed playing along. And, I've been to all the East Coast live events, or at least the Northeast, the 3 New York ones. And met a lot of the competitors and fellow fans there, and that's when it really cemented that I'd found a core group of people that I'd love to spend more time with.
Aw.
Nice. Are you on the East Coast?
Yeah, I'm up in Massachusetts.
Nice.
Ooh.
Fellow East Coaster. Yay.
Yeah.
Don't get a lot of those. We don't get a lot of East Coast.
I'm
Yeah,
down here in
not-
Atlanta.
9:08 p.m. We're night owls.
So yeah, I mean, we all know that you competed in the fan leagues and you did your thing, and but how does it feel to officially be in like the official movie trivia competition with, and you've obviously been watching and stuff like that. Is it any different in your mind competing in this compared to what it was like in the fan leagues?
Oh yeah, definitely. The fan leagues are a community that I'm still very close with. I like to stay involved as a host for a lot of their matches when they'll have me. So
Nice.
you keep tabs on the fan leagues. You'll definitely see me pop up to host because they're my friends. Granted, I was only in that community for 6 to 7 months, but I grew very fond of a lot of those people and like to stay in touch and stay involved and appreciate my roots. So. But the Showdown itself is a different beast. It's not that there's this misconception, I think sometimes, like some people oversimplify and say the other leagues' questions are more difficult, which I think that's a loaded statement. It depends on which league you're following and how specific the categories are for that particular match, whereas the Showdown is much more standardized. So the thing about the Showdown is when you play in singles, you have to really stay on your toes, and it really tests how engaged are you with all genres of movies, all eras of movies. And that's the challenge there with the Showdown. And while I'm proud of what I've achieved thus far, it's one match at a time for me. I go in with open eyes in every single match and never underestimate who I'm playing. So, it's a different beast, but it's not that I wasn't passionate when I played in the other leagues. I was very passionate about playing those matches, but the Showdown takes it to another level because admittedly, it's a wider audience. There's a lot on the line for these factions. You grow close to these people you're working with and studying with, and you want to deliver for them. So there's definitely some added pressure, but it's a good thing in my mind. It's motivating.
Now, I have a question.
Seems to be working so far.
Yeah. No, piggybacking off of that when it comes to factions. I believe you were on C2A and you had mentioned that you had messaged Shannon about possibly being drafted. Correct me if I'm wrong with that statement. Was Shannon like your ride or die manager? Like if she didn't draft you, like was she like your number one pick?
She was.
Managers?
Yes. Basically what happened was I'd started to hit my stride in the other leagues. I was picking up a series of wins in singles and teams and other divisions as well in different leagues. And I was, it's not that I felt like that was me punching my ticket directly to the Showdown. I had no expectation to actually get into the Showdown anytime soon. So basically what happened was Shannon was on SEN Live. This is pre-quarantine. She was in the studio, and she mentioned that there was a vacancy in the faction. So I drafted a admittedly long but very thought out and proofread message to Shannon that also had a link to a couple of my matches that I was proud of, and just said, "Hey, this is who I am. I have no expectation to actually be in the Showdown, but if I were ever get the shot, here's what I think I could provide as a player." And I didn't get an immediate response, but she, not only is she a pro, but she's a good person, and she sent me a very thoughtful response a few weeks later saying, "Hey, sorry I didn't see this right away. Appreciate your motivation, your passion. We're not currently drafting, but I'll keep an eye on your matches." And then fast forward to May, and I get a direct message from Christian, and my heart stops because he says, "Do you want to be a free agent?" I'm like, "What is this?" And I only discovered after the fact. I thought maybe Shannon had presented me to Christian as a prospect, but he had discovered me on his own.
Wow.
Which made it even more special because he kind of scouted me on his own, as far as I'm aware, and vetted me, asked around about me and stuff like that, make sure I wasn't a loose cannon, so to speak. Then Shannon was the first one to reach out to me, like, "Hey, it's on now. What do you think about joining Corruption?" I'm like, "You're my first choice," and for all these reasons. And then I had a wonderful conversation with, and this is public knowledge, with Winston as well. And Swag, obviously, their record speaks for itself as well, and they've kind of become our unofficial rivals, so to speak.
Kind of a little bit.
Yeah.
Winston and Shannon are definitely doing that dance this season. That's for sure.
Well, because Oyama and Liz both took out respective members of Corruption. It was like,
yes.
okay, so now we have this dynamic, and then of course Ace and Laura. That's one that we've held on to. So it's been a little bit of a revenge.
The revenge tour.
Here. So far so good. We'll see how the rest of the tournament shakes out.
I know that you had mentioned something about knowledge and history and stuff. Molly, I think you had a question about that, right?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you've been killing it, and it's so fun to watch you play. And it sounds very similar to the way that Alex got into it. He's just always been a Star Wars trivia freak and just remembers everything. And he's like, "Oh, I can put this to good use and do this thing called the Showdown." But yeah, I was just curious.
That's for damn sure.
I was just curious about your history with movies and just general movie trivia. Have you always been kind of a movie nerd and just remembering things about different movies?
You could say that, yeah. Like your husband, who's a very impressive competitor, as are you, by the way. Your display in that tournament was very exciting to watch, and I look forward to seeing you play more matches. So please come back. So Alex, I identified with him right away because. Look, I'm not going to mince words here. I'm a big Star Wars fan as well, and that's not me saying anything's going to happen. But
you're welcome here anytime, Adam.
Yeah,
yeah. This is a Star Wars podcast. We all Star Wars here.
But the reason I say that is because Star Wars was one of my gateway drugs, so to speak, with film. Even before that, it was kind of like an odd mixture of films. It's like Spaceballs and Help, the Beatles movie, which I watched obsessively as a child. Those and Jaws at a way too young an age. Those really got me into movies. Aside from the stuff we were all raised on, Disney and stuff like that, which was fine. But I really glommed on to the stuff I shouldn't have been watching right away.
Yeah.
And then Star Wars is that great middle ground for kids where they can feel like they're watching something that's just a little bit scary, in all the right ways, exciting. People's lives are on the line, but it's an escape, it's a fantasy, and then that just grew and grew and grew. And by the time I was applying to college many moons ago, I ended up getting into a communication school, which freshman year I was kind of undecided, and then I ended up finally committing to the film program. And so, I'm a film school graduate, and like many film school graduates, I have a spotty resume in the industry, and I have what I do to put a roof over my head. But my heart has never left that business. That's where my passion lies. That's what the Showdown does for me. And it's never going to go away as long as I live. Film is what I live and breathe. And, it was a fantasy at one time to get into production, which, never give up on your dreams or anything like that. I would love to get back into that someday. But just engaging with it, even from a fan perspective, a criticism perspective, a trivia perspective, is enough to keep me happy.
That's awesome. Do you just wipe the floor if you go to any local bar trivia or anything like that?
Yeah, until the other team start getting pissed off and cheat with their phones.
Oh, boo.
That's fair.
That's when you know you're doing good, though, is when the other team has to cheat because they're like, this a-hole over here,
and still can't beat him, right?
Still can't beat him.
I mean, we've had to settle for second place once or twice because people, have that Hail Mary cheat pass at the end. It is what it is. As long as I get like a discount on my beer or whatever.
Yeah, there you go.
Matters.
That's a great way to look at it. That is a great way to look at it.
I feel like all the nerdy bars in Atlanta know me and Alex at this point because if they ever
you guys can't compete. You guys.
If they ever do a Star Wars trivia night and we show up, they're like, really?
They'll just be like, you guys don't compete. Here's your free pitcher.
Here's a 6-pack. Just go sit in the corner.
Just go sit over here. Give everyone else a chance.
So I'm curious. You said you wanted to be on Corruption. That was the team you were striving for. The second you actually were like, I'm on this team, what was the feeling there? Like, I mean, you have some stellar people on that team. And then to want to be on it, and then you kind of get disappointed, and then later on, then boom, you're actually thrown into it in the middle of things. How was that?
Well, joining Corruption was very calculated on my part because I genuinely admire a lot of these people already before I even knew them. Shannon showed up this year and just hit the ground running and showed not only is she a natural at what she's doing, but it's like she's been doing it for like 5 years, and she's setting a standard for managers who've been doing this since the beginning. So I picked up on that right away. Mike is a legacy player who's played in 3 divisions successfully. And then Chance is the first competitor to transition from the fan leagues with, a pretty strong measure of success, I'd say. And
the team's champion. I mean, whatever.
Yeah. No, I was trying to play it humble because I'm talking about my own faction.
Brag. You're free to brag about your faction here. Brag.
Yeah. We're nothing if not humble. But no, Chance and Mike, I knew that was a combination of 2 people where I could benefit from their experience and their guidance. And then, then I saw the rest of the faction on the roster, and I'm like, I can't go wrong. Mark Hoyk, Marisol, Laura Kelly, Clee, Claudia, and then even Dewberry. He's a bit of an outlier, admittedly, but the guy's still underrated in my opinion.
Agreed.
Hoyk is someone I have been a big fan of since Beat the Geeks. I've mentioned this on many shows.
I literally remember watching that show and seeing him going, this guy's scary. Like, this guy is terrifying. And then I met him in person, and he let me wear his coat. And I'm like, this is the nicest person in, like, the world. He's so sweet. Like, I love Hoyk. I love Hoyk. Yeah,
Hoyk's awesome. And I don't have to reiterate the whole story because I mentioned it on another show. But I'd like to think I played a small hand in getting Hoyk and Christian connected as a fan 2 years ago.
Oh, nice.
I woke up one day just kind of out of the blue, like I started thinking about the Movie Geek. I'm like, what happened to that guy? And I did some digging, and I found him on Twitter. And then I tweeted at him and Christian at the same time, and the Showdown.
Oh.
And then Christian's like, "Are you in LA?" And Hoyk's like, "Yeah." And then he's like, "All right, DM me." And then like once the Anarchy tournament was announced, that's when Hoyk was revealed, and I was running around my house like, I was part of this.
Well, that's true. It all sounds like it's 100% on you.
You're like a awesome matchmaker. Look at you.
I mean, and look, I do have screen captures if anyone ever wants to vet this. I can send you the screen captures of my tweets. And you can
receipts.
Yeah, you can dig back on my Twitter profile and find it if you're really skeptical. But no, I love Hoyk. It's a shame that there's like this tournament's amazing, but it came at a time where Mark wasn't able to go online easily and compete the way all of us are online like this. And, and then there were a couple of us left, who hadn't gotten a match. And so we're happy to have gotten our shot, but I am hoping to see a lot more of Mark, Klee, and Claudia going into next season.
That's 2.
Yeah, I mean they're all a lot of fun. I think Mark Hoyk is someone that needs to be around more. Claudia has had one match so far this year, and she played really good.
Yeah,
a really good match, and so it's going to be. And then we saw Klee once too, and she happened to be in a match where she was thrown into it that day. So we haven't seen the best of her either. So
against the Barbarian, no less.
Against the
Exactly.
Barbarian.
Exactly. I mean, you're thrown into the fire at that point. So, so we can kind of shift gears a little bit here and talk about the singles tournament that's been going on. And at this point, we know that you've played 3 matches so far. You played Andres Gallego, you played Roca, and then you played Lon. Before we get to next week's match, just your kind of thought process after going 3-0 in your first 3 and getting to play players like Roca and getting to play players like Lon, and then ending up with the TKOs and the KOs as well. I mean, is it, as a fan, is it different from what it is as a player, or is it kind of all meld together at this point?
Oh yeah, I mean it's still something I'm processing. I'm sometimes think like I'm in like a Charlie Kaufman film, and this is all like an hallucination or something. I'm not sure. No. Assuming this is real life, it's been incredible to be on the other side of it. And I wanted to control my narrative as much as possible going into this. I saw people like the Barbarian and Robert Parker coming into this season with so much hype. And I think they both delivered. I think they're both incredible competitors who are going to continue to light the Showdown on fire. So I think they live up to the hype. That being said, I wanted no hype. I wanted nothing. I wanted silence. I just wanted to come and play. And Shannon got on board with that early, which I really appreciated because it doesn't only add pressure, but I wanted to be a little bit different. And I'm not claiming I have this whole game figured out from, a narrative perspective, because that's something I'm kind of learning on the job, admittedly. My theater days ended in my early 20s, so it's been a long time since I've had to dust off the acting chops, so to speak. But I'm trying.
And
I will say your promos are great.
You're doing
Your
great.
promos are great.
And I will say, I was in theater my entire life, but I haven't been in it since my early 20s. I feel like that theater knowledge just never leaves you, and you can just pick it up right away. You have done. So
I'm not ashamed to admit I even went to theater camp, and that was some of the best memories of my life. 4 years in high school. It was my escape from my small town high school, going to this camp in the middle of Pennsylvania, being with kids from all over the country.
That's awesome.
And we were all into theater. We were all into movies. We were all into music. And that was definitely kind of where I started to really hone my taste, being exposed to people that I wouldn't meet in my small town. I grew up in Ohio. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of what even fueled my obsession with film even more, was that camp.
Yeah. Me and Alex ended up, this wasn't for the Showdown, but me and Alex both started taking improv classes over the past couple of years. And it's been super fun. And it's awesome. Crazy. It's crazy how much it's helped our presence on the channel, but also doing the promos and just having a personality in the Showdown.
If I may, your promo with Adam Witt is gold.
So good. So good.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Thank you.
It's incredible.
That was pretty much all Adam's idea. I was just like, dude, you're killing it. Whatever you want to do, I'm down to do it. And it was really fun to film.
So good.
I know, but you were completely on his level, which is why it worked so well. So it was great. It was great.
Exactly. It was
so the acting's been interesting, but I'm not going in heavy on a crazy alter ego type personality. I'm more or less trying to accentuate who I really am. I didn't want to just be a player who was just another guy who liked movies. I wanted to make it something, but it's constantly evolving. So we'll see where it goes.
I do like and we saw this a lot in the lawn match with the correction. That was golden. And when you get your merch, which I hope you do, I want that on a shirt, just like hashtag correction, but spelled with like the KO,
Yeah.
like the corruption
Ooh.
correction. Like, just saying, Christian, just throwing that out there. Just, you know.
I like
I'm
that.
sure it will be.
And
I'm sure it will be.
I want a Chance and Mike shirt with I concur as well. If I'm being
Ah,
honest.
yeah,
I
there's
do
a
too.
good
I
one.
would be all
That's a good
over
one.
an I concur shirt. I would be all over it.
So we did have a Streamlabs that came through, but it's relating to a question about teams, which we'll get to here in just a little bit.
Sure.
And so I wanted to make sure I highlighted this one from Brian here because it's a good segue into this match for this week. How do you feel about facing off against the Kid, Brendan Meyer, and Lethal Weapons in the team tournament, which we'll talk in a little bit. But the Kid, yeah, you got the Kid this week. How do you feel going into that match after your previous matches?
Pause. Oh, internet.
Yeah.
There we
So
go.
can you still hear me okay?
You're good,
Am
yeah.
I
You're
delayed?
good. You're good.
Am I
You're good.
okay?
Yes.
You're good.
Okay, cool. Again, if my internet burps, I apologize. I'll be back momentarily.
You're good.
Um,
You're good.
But yeah, Brendan Meyer is undeniably one of the most dangerous players in the entire Showdown. And people, just because he doesn't have gold yet, people I think unjustifiably put him in a different tier than like Dan Murrell and Bibiani even. And he proved he can hang with Bibiani and Dan Murrell on the same stage in front of a live audience. He has one of the highest accuracy rates in the entire league. He is a sponge. He's got a brain like just it's insane the way his mind functions. So yeah, I'm going in feeling like this is kind of like John Wick versus Common, in John Wick 2. Like I am not underestimating him one bit, and
That's a bonkers fight. That is a crazy analogy to make because that fight goes on for ages.
so yeah, I just I see him as an assassin, Brendan.
Hey, that's
he
fair.
has this disarming personality, which is very, very
He's the Canadian assassin.
He's the Canadian Beaver. Leave it to Beaver. He really is. Like he is just literally the kid next door, especially during quarantine, when he's staying with his folks. But like, I just gotta say, he is one of my favorite competitors to watch, and getting the opportunity to play him is a huge honor. So I'm doing my best to be prepared for him. That's for sure.
Do you see yourself
as
John Wick or
I'll
Common?
defer to you.
Do you see yourself as John Wick or Common in that situation?
It's a tough question to answer because I feel like either says a lot about one's ego, but let me put it this way: I'm a big Keanu fan.
There you go. I like it. Okay, so we do have another Streamlabs that has come through, and this question was also asked in the chat. But Billy, thank you so much for the donation, sir. Why did you choose the name Coyote if you did get to pick it?
It was a collaboration. So my nickname in the fan leagues was the Nomad, which is a very similar character choice to the Coyote. It's a reflection of my personal life because I've lived on the East and West Coast. I've lived in 6 states throughout my life.
Whoa.
And then also in the other leagues, I was playing at one point 5 different leagues, and I was just going dizzy from all the different rules that they had. But anyway, I had this idea of being kind of like a lone wanderer, like a low key Mad Max type, and so when I presented that idea to Christian, he said he was on board with the concept, but wanted the name to have a little bit more imagery and a little bit more phonetic punch. So when he was spitballing some different nicknames, he landed on Coyote because you have the Coyote Collins, which he got a kick out of.
Fits, yeah.
Like Crusher Cushion, So there was that, and then we could apply that same mentality that I had for the Nomad to the idea of the Coyote. So I got on board with that, and just tried to make it my own. And again, it's still a work in progress. But the thing that kind of rung true to me for it, just kind of on a personal level, is I've always been obsessed with this song called Coyotes by a country singer. I believe his name's Don Edwards. I could be wrong, but double check the facts on that. And it's used very prominently in Werner Herzog's documentary Grizzly Man. And it's used very effectively towards the end of the film. That's a very that's not a film you throw on casually, but if you haven't seen it, definitely watch it.
I love it. I love that movie.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. It's not the kind of thing you throw on at a cocktail party, but I mean, Herzog, he's just, the narration is all time in that film. And then the song Coyotes plays at the end. And if you don't tear up when you hear it, like there's something wrong with you. So I've been obsessed with that song for the past 15 years since the movie came out. So I took that as like a little sign that was a good name to land on. So that's a little insight, there, if that's helpful.
I love that.
That helps. Jill, I believe you had a question. We can transition into teams, and I believe you had a question about that, correct?
I do. So I will say, when we were guessing who the teams would be, I believe I did guess that you and Marisol would be a team in this tournament. And lo and behold, look what happened. You and Marisol are a team in this team's tournament. Did you know of Marisol in the fan leagues? Did you ever compete against her in the fan leagues? What was your knowledge of her before you two were put together as a team in this tournament?
Sure. First of all, can you see me? Am I coming through?
You're golden.
Yep.
Like Mike TV says, am I coming in clear? Yeah. No, I was very aware of her brief but very impressive tenure in multiplex and full metal, two of the prominent other leagues out there, and she barnstormed those. I don't think she had a loss in her short time in the fan leagues. I don't think
surprised.
So.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I think she only played like 3 to 5 matches. I could be wrong. Sorry, Marisol, if I got that wrong. But she won the majority, if not all, of those matches. I watched her matches just kind of in preparation. Like I watched everyone's matches in those leagues to be prepared for anyone I could play. And I'm like, if I have to play her, I'm in trouble. So then she got drafted. I was like, all right, that's off my shoulders. Plow ahead, plow forward here. So, but yeah, once this season started off and we ended up in the same faction, it was just a matter of timing with us both playing in the singles tournament. And her debut was very impressive. And I got to give Bonnie credit. I know she was a little off the wall in that match, but
that match is one of my favorite matches. Yeah, I'm going to be 100% honest. I am obsessed with that match.
But Bonnie put up 17 points, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Which is no small number of points. No. That was the best she ever played.
Yes.
You pulled that 5-pointer, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yes.
Yeah. I know.
With the pool guy.
It was quite. Yeah. Yeah. But no, honestly, like, that match, like, we weren't underestimating Bonnie because we knew she was going with a chip on her shoulder playing against corruption. And she also wanted to prove herself to the fans and prove that she's, not like, a lower tier competitor. And I got to give Bonnie credit. 17 points is 17 points.
Yes.
And she didn't get TKO'd. And that's impressive. So she put up a hell of a fight, but it was no surprise that Marisol won that match. And I think it was a great demonstration of character on both sides, not only in terms of the narrative of the show, but also with how they both handled the game. And then the match against Oyama was so impressive, in my opinion, because Oyama played perfect.
Yes.
And he couldn't knock her out.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And Nora Ephron is something he's traditionally done well in matches. So I think taking that was very, very gutsy, and she didn't miss a question. So so she had already set the tone. And then I had my play-in match with Andres, which I was very proud of, but kind of got buried because it was at the very beginning of the tournament. And I also like to I like to take the opportunity when I can to give Andres all the credit in the world too, because I went in expecting a tough opponent and I got a tough opponent. He's the one so far that I've gotten the lowest number of points in my category in round 2 because I was checking the multiple choice to play it safe against him. Because
Andres knows his stuff.
He knows release dates. I know that. Yes. So I was hedging my bets in release dates. Normally I would have been a little more gutsy, but not against him. And then the Inner Geekdom spin, that was just I knew those answers and he didn't, but that's no knock against him. The guy knows a lot. He went 6 out of 8 in round 1. So there's a lot ahead in this game for Andres. But that match got kind of buried, unfortunately. And so I had a lot of time to prepare for whoever my opponent was going to be. And so once I got to Roca, I went in with just weeks and weeks of just anticipation and preparation.
Yeah. I was going to say, what kind of mental state do you have to put yourself in to go, cool, so I won this play-in match, but my first match is freaking former champion John the Outlaw Roca. What goes through your, because I would be having a panic attack every single day knowing that my first match is against freaking John Roca. So what was your mental state during that time?
For the longest time, I didn't know it was going to be him for sure, because we had to wait for the championship match between Erwin and
that's
Earl.
right.
So I was preparing for Earl too. And that's the thing I haven't talked about really is that, and and they're both formidable, and obviously Roca's beaten Merle. I think they're comparable on different days of the week. But Merle is obviously Merle, and that carries a lot of weight behind it too. And I knew if I had to play him, I mean, like, how much more could the deck be stacked against me? So I just knew that even if I couldn't win, I was like, I got to put up a fight. I got to show that I belong here. And, again, to give credit where credit's due, I think James White proved that against Bibbs.
Yep.
I think that's a match people need to remind themselves exists because he took Bibbs to the edge.
Yep.
And I think he showed how dangerous he can be. So all credit to James White. But I wanted to at least accomplish that. And so when the match ended up the way it did, I mean, I went in just prepared to strike as many blows as I could. And because Roca couldn't pull those last 2 questions, I got the TKO, which I'm happy about. But, I mean, I wouldn't have gotten it if he'd gotten at least one of those questions. So it was a close TKO. And it's not like Roca was – I didn't wipe the floor with Roca at all. I got the closest TKO I could possibly get against him, and I'm happy about it. But Roca is one of the best. It's just a fact.
Yes.
So after all that happened, I was like, okay, I've at least got these 2 wins on my record, and then Chance and Mike won the belts, and the opportunity presented itself, and Shannon approached me and Marisol about teaming up, and we come at this from a similar perspective, and we're both passionate about the game, so we're going into this tournament, as prepared as we possibly can be to take it all the way.
And I'm gonna say it on record now. You 2 are the team I am watching closely because I think you 2 are a freaking force to be reckoned with, and I am so excited to see you 2 together. And I would not, in the slightest, be surprised if you 2 freaking dominate. Just wipe the floor.
Well, and I've alluded to this on other shows, but and I'm not going to give away any specifics, obviously, but I'm not ashamed to admit that in study sessions, she often knows things I don't.
But that's a good thing, though, because
exactly.
For teams, that's amazing. That's brilliant. So
vice versa. That
makes you even more scary. That's just makes you even more terrifying, in my opinion. So I am very much. And we have your official name? It's
Deception.
Deception.
That is correct.
I love it.
Yeah, Deception. I'll intervene just real quick because Brian, we got a Streamlabs, correct?
We do. From Stylin' Moose, thank you very much. He says, Adam, are you and Marisol getting ready for the team's tournament? Currently can't wait to watch both of you together.
Yeah, definitely getting ready. I mean, Chance and Mike also have a team's defense against Shazam, which so all four of us are studying and working with each other to get prepared. And we all feed off of each other's energy, and we all help each other absorb more knowledge. And I can't get more specific than that, but we're remaining very active. I'll put it that way.
How does it feel to 2 months ago you're not in the Showdown, and then you get a call, you're like, oh yeah, we're gonna sign you on free agency, and then if you fast forward and you're sitting in study sessions with Mike Kalinowski, Chance Ellison, and Shannon Barney.
Yeah. I mean that was part of it. I mean, to be honest, the weirdest part for me was getting my first texts from any of them.
Oh yeah, seeing Mike Kalinowski pop across the screen.
For some reason, that was the part that like took some adjusting
more
than even talking to them on camera. But no, I hit the ground running, and I've mentioned it on other shows. I didn't know if I'd even get a match this season, so I came in prioritizing involvement. I wanted to show that even if I couldn't play, I cared and I appreciated this opportunity. So I knew that Star Wars and IG tournaments were coming up, and I knew, I'm also a former question writer for the fan leagues. So I come at this with a very analytical mind, and I like to think of questions myself that would be fun to ask. So I offered up my services to Shannon and said, let me help Laura, Chance, and Mike as much as I can.
Nice. And
it was just a great way to get involved and get to know everybody. I had the time of my life breaking the ice with all of them, prepping for those tournaments. And I specifically wanted to make sure that I wasn't getting a ton of mention about my involvement with that going in to those tournaments, because again, I wanted to keep a low profile. So yeah, I really am appreciative of that time I had in the preparation for those tournaments, and it made me very comfortable once I got my opportunity, knowing I was going to get a play-in match for singles.
Oh, I wish I could be a fly on the wall for those.
Seriously,
I know, right?
Only I could be a fly on the wall, because I freaking love Shannon and Mike and Chance and Laura and literally all of Corruption. I'm just in love with, to be fair. So if I could just be a fly on the wall, yeah. Just like
Brian is our Corruption shill, so
I am also a Corruption shill.
I did miss one question I want to get back to, and it has to do with singles. And Brian Nussbaum here again. Let's say you make it to the finals in the singles tournament. Who would you want to face off against from the right side of the bracket?
It's a fun question.
So currently that would be Mark Riley, that would be Jeff Snyder, Ethan Irwin, and Tom are the four from that side of the bracket.
Well, I'll give you the best possible response, and I'll answer all four in the briefest manner possible. So starting with Riley, Riley is more than an OG. He's a pioneer of the game. I think he's risen back to his level, his original level of play in this tournament, and he's putting in the effort to close some of his gaps. So playing Riley would be very exciting, and if he could get to the end of his bracket, that would be an amazing narrative. Snyder is, I think, one of the best players to ever play the Showdown. I think people glom on to that one Bibiani match way too much, and Snyder has a winning record, and he has a high accuracy record. And he is one of the best at getting under people's skin and getting into their heads.
A little bit, yeah.
Sometimes by exposing his own skin.
Literally.
This is true.
That is fair. Yeah. Seriously, literally and figuratively, yes.
Literally.
So I know he's super motivated, especially after beating Oyama. So we'll see where he goes, but that would be amazing. Tom, the Enigma.
Tom.
Just the way you said that, Tom.
I'm a big fan of Tom. A big fan of Tom.
Me too.
I am not going to mince words. I love Tom. And I would love to just, even be in a digital room with Tom and kind of like pick up on some of that vibe. So playing him would be exciting and an honor. And I think Tom is demonstrating how good he is in this singles tournament. And even though he hasn't gotten like a perfect first round yet in the tournament, how many perfect first rounds has the guy gotten? Like a
2 or
billion?
3.
Seriously.
Yeah,
Like
almost every other match outside of this
Yeah.
tournament.
He's gotten a lot of
A
perfect
lot.
rounds. And he's one of the best at just keeping himself in the shadows. So I find him fascinating. And then a lot of people are predicting Irwin to go all the way, which is a safe bet. But at the same time, Irwin, has shown that he has to work for these victories. Look at the zipper match. And that's not undermining his ability. Irwin missed 2 questions in round 1, which is more than he normally misses. And then he got opponent's choice and he still won. That shows how good he is.
Yeah.
That shows how amazing Ethan is. And it's admittedly a fantasy to play Ethan, but now I know, regardless of the tournament, I am going to play Ethan. So I'm thrilled. So,
True.
That's right.
yeah.
The teams. That's right.
Yeah.
That is right.
We'll see what happens, but any of them would be exciting.
Nice.
That's, I love this
For
tournament
sure.
so much. I love this tournament so much.
Yeah,
It's a
well,
fun
and
one.
that's kind of a
It's
cool.
fun one.
Yeah, it's a cool transition. We can talk about you and Marisol playing the lethal weapons, as they're called, which is Ethan and Andrew Guy.
That's Andrew Guy.
Andrew Guy and
my
Ethan
brain
Irwin.
still hasn't registered that Ethan and Drew are a team.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So thoughts on playing them in the first round? How you stack up against them? What are you thinking? How you feeling?
You know what? The thing is, I think there are a lot of people who are already being very, very supportive of both of us, which is very, very nice. And we are feeling confident going into this, but I mean, we're still the rookies, and Ethan and Guy are both veterans. You can't deny that. They're a new team, but they're veterans. And Guy has proved himself to be one of the most adaptable teams players in the history of the Showdown. Pivoting to Drew McWeeny and going on the run they did.
Mm-hmm.
And those 2 players seem so disparate and incompatible, but they went on a tear. And then McWeeny had to step away, and I hope he comes back because I'm a big fan of his inside and outside the Showdown. I think McWeeny's incredible. But you put Ethan in. I mean, that's Sam Levine. He's like, I lost my giant, so I'm going to go get another one. I'm going to go spend this.
This guy.
Yeah, I'm going to do everything I can to get someone to replace McWeeny, and you can't do better than Ethan Irwin. So putting him with Guy, makes sense, and from that perspective, admittedly, I'm a Time Machine fan, so I would have been excited about that too with Janine. But in any case, I think the advantage that we have going into this is we do these study sessions. We have an understanding of how to play this game and how to do it online, how to interact online. I can only assume that Ethan and Guy are doing their best to collaborate and prepare for this, but I'd be surprised if they're going to be as comfortable with the online format as we are. I could be wrong, but we'll see.
Because you and Marisol definitely have that quote unquote the home field advantage because you're used to doing the digital with the fan leagues. So do you feel like that is an advantage for you two going into this tournament against people who admittedly I know Drew has admitted he is not a huge fan of the digital format. So how does
we
that
saw that when he played Bateman.
Schmominati, right?
Schmominati.
Yeah. So, there's obviously a prevailing theory that, there's this home field advantage to playing online. And I think there's an argument there to be made. I'm not saying there isn't. No one more than me wants to go into the studio and just put everyone's minds at ease. I am more than prepared to play in a studio. I'm more than prepared to play in front of people if that's what's asked of me. Rest assured, once COVID, eases its grip, hopefully, and we can all feel a little bit safer. We'll all have that opportunity. But even if I have to wear a mask in a studio match, I'm game. Trust me, I am excited to get into the studio. I'm not complaining about playing from home because I don't have to get on a plane or anything, but everyone else is in the same boat. I think the home field advantage thing is falling by the wayside because Ethan has now played a number of matches in the digital format. Guy has played at least one. So they can be prepared too. So, I think the ease that we have doesn't come from fan league matches as much as just remaining in touch with our faction and keeping up the rapport and the studying and all of that. I think that's what makes us comfortable interacting online more than anything else. So will it be an advantage? Maybe, but Ethan is an absolute monster. Guy pulls out a lot of impressive deep cuts. So if they're on their game, it's going to be very challenging, but I do believe we can win for sure. I definitely think we can beat them.
I think a lot of people are picking you, which, after the showing you and Marisol have both put on so far in the singles tournament, notably so. Speaking of Marisol, she is actually in the chat, and she graciously sent us a donation via Streamlabs. She asked the same question here. Burning questions. Which member of the Fellowship are you? Does delinquent meat taste sweeter than outlaw meat? What's your favorite way to eat yams? Is Coyote Ugly the greatest film of all time?
Those are fantastic questions.
I love it.
All right. All right. Well, this is going to turn into a TED Talk. All right. Okay. Which member of the Fellowship am I? Well, this is not coming from a point of ego. This is coming from a perspective of just wanting this. I consider myself, and I would love to. I hopefully others would too. I would be Gandalf because Gandalf. I can see that. Gandalf is my favorite character in the entire saga. He's just. I love that he's the steward across all eras of that narrative, and he's just incredibly selfless and so brave, but also hilarious. I look up to Gandalf. I have my entire life ever since I read those books. So it's not it's not that I presume that I'm a 2,000-year-old wizard who's as cool as Ian McKellen, but it's what I aspire to be. So if that's fair. Going beyond that, does delinquent mean? Okay, well, delinquent. Look. All due respect to Lon. Lon's an amazing player. Things went my way that day, so it was a quick kill. I don't think it always would have gone that way. But that was kind of like a meal to tide me over because of the way the match went. Roka was a bit more of a savory experience. Yeah. I'll try to pick my words carefully because I know Roka watches me and he might get offended if I say something.
He has definitely turned up he has literally turned up in some of our shows. So you never know when Roka's watching.
John Roka, big fan of the Top 10 podcast, subscriber of your YouTube channel. Keep up the good work. Hopefully that's not offensive. Moving on, yams. Favorite way to eat yams. Sweet potato fries.
Ooh,
Yeah. Love it.
Hands down, sweet potato fries are taking the 21st century by storm, as well as Gen Z. And I think there's a lot of exciting yam based fries in our future. So that's my favorite. And then Coyote Ugly, the greatest film of all time. You know what? As much as it pains me to say, I don't think so. Granted, I should probably revisit that film. It's been a minute. I haven't seen it in a while, but I'm sure it's as charming as it was 20 years ago. But best film? Probably not. No. I think it might fall behind a couple others I could think of.
Well, again, thank you to Marisol for the donation and the question. Much appreciated. Some people in the chat have been throwing in some interesting questions that have nothing to do with Showdown, just kind of fun questions here. And the first one here is for Star Drew. What is your favorite guilty pleasures of your favorites 80s, 90s, and 2000 movies? And this can be of everybody. We can have a conversation about this one. So starting with the 80s. Yeah, don't give away secrets, obviously. But any favorite guilty pleasure movies from the 80s?
My go-to guilty pleasure from the 80s is Teen Wolf 2, specifically. Everybody's like, most people like Teen Wolf. And there's things about Teen Wolf that haven't aged disgracefully, much like lots of John Hughes movies. You go back and watch the 80s comedies, and they do and say things that are not awesome. But the spirit of those movies, I think, endures really well. And that's why I still like the first Teen Wolf a lot. And then Teen Wolf 2 is just this complete misfire. It's fascinating to watch. And now you look at the star that Jason Bateman has become. Yeah. And you go back and watch that movie, and it's just bizarre to watch the future killer of an actor. I think Jason Bateman's incredible as an actor and as a creator. And if you listen to him on podcasts, the guy's brilliant. He's so fun to listen to. So I just love Jason Bateman, and that kind of fuels my fascination with Teen Wolf 2. I love that there's a dance number in it. There's a song and dance number to "Do You Love Me?" Now that I can dance that song, and Jason Bateman in full wolf makeup does a lip syncing dance number to it, and it's incredible. That movie's great. There's a studying montage to the song "Send Me an Angel," which is ridiculous. So anyway, great, terrible movie. See, for the 90s, there's a lot I could think of, but one I'll go to just because it's not a good film, but I love watching it, is Problem Child.
Okay.
Problem Child is a dumb movie. If you go back and watch it, it is insipid. But the thing I like about it is John Ritter is just totally committed to it, and he's just so stressed out the entire movie with this horrible adopted son of his. And then there's this whole opening bit where Junior terrorizes these nuns. That's funny. Michael Richards is quite bizarre in that film. So Problem Child, it's bad, but there's just so many memorable moments. Jack Warden plays his adopted grandfather, and it just despises him. And so Junior and Jack Warden are trying to kill each other the entire movie, in a really calculated way. They're both homicidal maniacs. So Problem Child is hilarious to me. And then 2000s. Oh, there's definitely some bad movies in the 2000s.
There definitely is, yes.
Yeah, why am I struggling to think of something as ridiculous as those? Oh God, I'm a little bit ashamed that I can't think of a bad movie in the 2000s that's comparable to those off the top of my head. I'm sure something will come to me. Let me come back to the 2000s if that's okay.
Yeah. Does anybody else have any guilty pleasures?
Both of mine that came to mind first are from the 90s. Troll 2 is
Good call. I love
super
Troll 2.
Weird cult classic. Alex introduced me to that movie when we first started dating. And then Best Worst Movie came out, the documentary about Troll 2, and that documentary
fascinating documentary.
It's
whether
fascinating
you've seen Troll 2 or not.
Yeah, it's insane. We've met the dad from that movie more than one time.
You don't piss on hospitality. I won't allow it.
He's super nice. He's a dentist. He lives in Alabama.
He's a dentist.
And then the other one is Death Becomes Her. Yes. I love that movie so much.
I think that movie has risen above guilty pleasure. I think people recognize the genius of Death Becomes Her at this point.
Yeah.
Amazing in a lot of ways. Those are great picks.
Jill, did you have any?
I do. For me, it's it's 90s and early 2000s comedies, mainly Mike Myers and Adam Sandler films.
Yeah, those are a lot. Yeah.
So Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, all the every single one of the Austin Powers films, I can just pop on and have a grand old time. So I Married an Axe Murderer is one of my favorite comedies of all time. Everyone says it's boring and crappy, but
false.
Thank you. Correction. You are wrong.
Correction So I Married an Axe Murderer is an excellent comedy, and I own the soundtrack on compact disc. And I listen to it.
Wow. There you go.
Yeah, those comedies are pretty much my go-to films.
Brian, did you have any?
I mean, for me, it's like any movie I've ever seen. But I mean, off the top of my head,
Well, I know one that came out in the 2000s that you can say right now. It's one of your favorites. You challenge it to Keith?
oh, The Hot Chick, yeah.
Yeah.
I love the hot chick.
The hot chick.
I love the hot chick.
It's so trashy, but it kills
I
me.
freaking love the hot chick. Boys are cheats and liars. They're such a big disgrace.
It's just
Love
It's
that.
not help us when the Rob Schneider wheel becomes a thing, because it's going to happen
Yes.
someday.
Yeah.
It's gonna be killer. I did think of a 2000s movie. I don't think it's a very fascinating choice, but it is a guilty pleasure from the 2000s, and that would be the very forgotten The Musketeer, which is like that weird martial arts Three Musketeers movie that makes no sense whatsoever. But the thing I love about it is it's a mess, but like the fights are really, really cool in it. So like when you go and watch The Musketeer, you're like, this plot is it's definitely trash, but at the same time, like it's honoring the broad strokes of the Three Musketeers story. It's kind of like a prequel to the Three Musketeers in a way, because it's all about D'Artagnan. And he's like rappelling off of buildings and doing backflips and roundhouse kicking people, and like, and because they had the choreographer from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, so that's why the choreography in The Musketeer is lights out, but the movie itself on paper is terrible. So The Musketeer, 2000s. There you go.
Beautiful.
I will say another one of mine that I think, oh God, I don't even know. My mom and my grandma used to be obsessed with it, so we watched it all the time. Was Troop Beverly Hills.
Beverly Hills, what a thrill. Beverly Hills, what a thrill.
It's so stupid, but it's so funny.
I also have another one. Any direct to VHS Disney sequel is like my jam. So like Lion King 2, Peter Pan.
Lion King 1.5?
Lion King 1.5.
Return of Jafar is a good movie. I like Return of Jafar.
Aladdin and the King of Thieves is great. So like any direct to VHS.
They got Robin Williams back for that.
They did get
That's
Robin
why-
Williams back for that. So any direct to DVD, direct to VHS Disney sequel, I am also just obsessed with.
I have a couple. I have one from the
Right.
80s, The Last Starfighter.
Oh,
That's a good movie, though.
I know it is, but a lot of people don't think it is.
I know it is.
I love that movie. I think that movie is one of the perfect examples of being remade in modern era right now with the technology. It would be bonkers good. And in the 90s, I thought of Demolition Man because I just watched it last week.
You're perfect. I'm sorry.
I love that movie. I love the Demolition Man. And then for the 2000s, Gone in 60 Seconds because I'm a car guy. I love myself some Nick Cage.
See,
Matt
I
and-
love Gone. I'm not an action movie person, but Gone in 60 Seconds is great.
And Mustangs are my all-time favorite cars, and my dad and I rebuilt one for 2 years before my 16th birthday, and we modeled it after Eleanor, so I kind of have a thing for that. But yeah, that movie I think is a perfect movie as well. So yeah.
I
love
thought
it.
this movie was 2000s, but it's actually 99. And Alex gives me so much crap for liking this movie. I don't know why. Wild Wild West.
Oh, I love that
Yes!
movie.
Like the Will
Oh,
Smith
my God.
one?
I don't know. He just
That movie's
despises
great.
Hey,
Great.
you watch that movie at a certain age, it leaves an impression on you. It's
Yes.
just one of those movies. If you see young, you're gonna respond to it better.
Mhm.
You watch Wild Wild West for the first time now. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to, think it's amazing, but it's an interesting relic of its time. And Kevin Kline and Will Smith are hilarious together.
They
so
really are.
I've been meaning to revisit that. I'll probably go back
That
and check it.
cornfield scene with the flying disc is perfect. Just
Mhm.
perfect. So good. Okay, another one here from Leo. All-time favorite musicians / bands.
Yeah. Too many to name, but I have a few go-tos. One of my favorite bands ever, even though they were short-lived. I mean, they're actually still a band, actually, but their original run was short-lived, is Blind Melon. So Blind Melon is known for the song No Rain, which is used in like every other movie trailer, and you hear it at the grocery store. Like all I can say is my life is pretty plain. I like watching the puddles gather rain. Yeah.
My life is pretty plain.
It's like a go-to karaoke song too.
It's a great song. It's catchy and it's also just a good song. But Blind Melon is one of those bands I got obsessed with in high school. They did 2 full studio albums, and then Shannon Hoon, their singer, tragically died from a drug overdose. In his late 20s. And then they released a posthumous album of a lot of like odds and ends songs that they've done, some covers and stuff like that. And then they reformed in 2008 with a new singer and went on tour. And back then I saw them 4 times. And then they took a break, and then they went on tour again last year, and I saw them again and got to hang out with them because I paid for the VIP pass and all that stuff. So I have a very close connection with Blind Melon. And their cover of The Pusher by the Steppenwolf song. They do a cover of that that's absolutely killer, and that was originally my fantasy song for Showdown music. So I love Blind Melon. And then just on the other side of things, one of my favorite singer-songwriters of all time is Tom Waits. So I'm a bit obsessed with Tom Waits. I love all of his music, no matter how crazy it gets. And then I also just love him as an actor. Tom Waits is just he's put out some genuinely amazing music, and he's put out some less accessible stuff that's still respectable. But he also just has such a legacy on the screen that it's hard for me not to love that guy and everything he does. So I could go on beyond that, but there's only so much time. So Blind Melon and Tom,
Yeah.
it's not all I listen to, but I love both of those.
Molly, did you have any?
I was going to say, I feel like I remember watching an interview with, and I can't remember her name, but the Bumblebee girl from
Yeah.
that music video. She like popped back up, and like I've seen her in like a couple of different interviews. For a second, I thought there was a documentary about her, but that just like popped into my head, and I thought that was funny. All-time favorite musicians.
2 guilty pleasure movies. This is Marisol.
I love Bring It On.
Nothing to be ashamed about Bring It On. Bring It On is quite an incredible movie.
It's really weird.
White Chicks is something.
It's really weird because I had 2 backup movies that I was going to say.
And they're both those?
And it was literally those 2, so it kind of freaked me out a little.
I will say, though, I Bring It On, and no one talks about this movie, but Stick It is also...
Yeah, Stick It's good.
I love Stick It.
Sorry, Molly, you can go on with the music stuff. I'm highlighting some comments.
No, that's fine. Mine are like pretty big. Michael Jackson and Lady Gaga. Like are my 2 big ones. Yes. Obsessed completely.
Yeah,
with
Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson is the greatest performer of all time, hands down. His music is just one of a kind. But I like classic rock, like AC/DC and Lynyrd Skynyrd and those types of bands as well. I don't listen to a ton of music, so I'm very simple. And then my modern day, it's Linkin Park, R.I.P. Chester. But Linkin Park is probably my all-time favorite band. So,
Fall Out Boy, no question, no hesitation. Fall Out Boy will forever and always be my favorite band of all time.
Journey and Queen.
Yeah, there you go, Brian. Those are good. Those are good.
Those 2, for sure.
Yes.
Good 1-2 punch.
Can't go wrong.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't say the entire soundtrack to the movie Twister. I love that album, and I listen to it way more than I should.
Okay, so a couple people actually put this in the chat that it should actually become a staple here on the show. And as a POV, because on our Patreon, our tiers are candy. So a question, your favorite snack and your favorite candy to eat.
Oh, boy. Tough to narrow that down. Candy, Swedish fish. I eat a lot of Swedish fish. I have to travel a lot for my job. So Swedish fish is kind of one of like those road snacks that, in addition to healthier things, which I swear I also eat, I promise. Swedish fish, honestly, like just like grabbing 1 or 2 of them when I'm driving, like for long periods of time, like it helps me stay awake, gives me a little sugar rush. And I've always loved Swedish fish. And then just if we're talking junk food snacks, look, I try not to eat them around other people because of the way they smell, but I love Funyuns.
Yes,
I
Funyuns
love
are great.
I love
Great.
Funyuns. When I know I'm going to be alone and I don't have to worry about like talking to people, I just go crazy on some Funyuns. So there you go.
Funyuns.
Those are also two things that you can find absolutely anywhere,
Yes.
which is
Yeah.
the key there. That is the key.
And they're also proof that I'm still a child. So there you go.
There you go. We talk about food all the time in here, so I don't think we need to go around the table enough on that one.
No.
We can go ahead and shift gears from some questions and get to these final matches of these tournaments that we have upcoming here. We talked about Adam and Brendan, and so we can get to the one on the bottom half of that bracket, which is Bibiani and
Shannon.
why am I blanking?
Liz Shannon Miller.
Liz Shannon Miller. That's what it was. So we have the Beast and Lightning Liz Shannon Miller. This match is going to be bonkers. It's going to be good. And Adam, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one too. Two competitors who clearly are knowledgeable. Liz right now has shown that she may be better than ever. Bibiani kind of stays at a nice steady pace, but he's trying to get back to the spot he once had. And so I'm very excited personally. I know that Bibiani's kind of like my guy, but I'm excited to see Liz go up against him because she has proven herself as like a high caliber player. And it's going to be a heavyweight match from the get-go. I don't know your thoughts on this one, Adam. Who are you thinking might come out on top on this one?
Look, I think it's harder to say than people would freely admit. I think it's easy to bet on Bibbs because of his record and because he's one of the most consistent and tenured players in the entire Showdown. Whereas Liz, this is her second year, and people continue to underestimate her. And look, I'm looking at this match with very interested eyes because I'm focused on Brendan right now. But if I can get past him, Brendan, admittedly, I've been a fan of Bibiani's for a long time. So if
It's well known, Molly. It's well known.
Yeah.
calm down over there, all right? Playing Bibiani would be a thrill for me because I'm a big fan of Critically Acclaimed, both as a team when they played, but their podcast, I still listen to it. So playing him would be a blast. But look, Liz beat Chance. And people weren't expecting that. And she played the long game in that match, and that's why she won. And I don't think anyone can underestimate her anymore. And if they do, then that's on them. And Bibiani knows Liz, and I don't think he's underestimating her. But I definitely think she's capable of beating him. And people need to, I think be a little bit more ready to admit that. Because Bibbs is amazing, but so is Liz.
Yes.
So
100%.
people need to watch that match closely. I can't wait to see it. We'll see how it shakes out. Because if I play Bibbs, it's exciting because I've been a fan of his for a long time, and it'd be an amazing challenge. But playing Liz would also be an amazing challenge. And there's some bad blood there. Nothing against Liz, but swag
and corruption.
Yeah.
That's fair. That is fair. Molly, what about? Oh, go ahead.
No, that was it. Sorry.
Okay. Molly, what do you think on this one?
Between Liz and
Liz and Bibbs, yeah.
Man, when Liz beat Chance, I could have cried. I was just so happy for her. And that tank girl question, like the story behind it and her cat, I was like, I had a couple drinks and I was just like running circles around. I was so happy for her for that. And and I love Bibbs too, but she's been doing so well, and I would love to see her continue to just go through this tournament and take it to the end, man.
Brian?
If you're sleeping on Liz, you're not paying attention enough because, like Adam said, she's been here 2 years, and correct me if I'm wrong, her record's 5-2.
Yeah.
And
Bad no drama, by the way. So
and she's only
and
lost,
this right there. She's only lost to champions.
So like She's one of the ones that it blows my mind that people don't talk about like regularly because she's got a fantastic record. Like there are players that would kill to have a 5-2 record.
Literally.
Especially 2 years in.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, she is no easy win, no one to sleep on. Like, if you underestimate her in the slightest, she's going to come and take you out.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Maybe by decapitation. Don't
100%.
Very dangerous. Very dangerous. I think she's like Odd Job with that hat.
Yeah.
There you go.
Quick.
Jill, what about you?
For me, I think this is one of the harder matches to really 100% be confident in my choice of who is going to take this, because as everyone here has said, Liz is so incredibly underrated, and she doesn't deserve to be underrated because she is brilliant and she is great at this game. Bibbs is a former champion, and he's killing it this season. He is the only true player to have a true perfect game. And that's scary. So for me, this is one of the hardest to whoever I pick, I can't be 100% confident in because like both of these players are so freaking good.
Yeah.
Although I would love to see a woman just dominate, but I think I'm gonna have to wait for my ultimate choice the day of the match, because right now I don't think I can pick somebody.
Yeah.
To be honest, yeah.
I feel it. Understand. The next one we have, the right side of the bracket up top is Ethan Irwin and Mr. Tom. So Jill, I'll go right back to you because it's probably gonna be very simple on this one. Who do you got on this one?
I'm always gonna root for my pseudo faction, the Den. So that's gonna be Tom. Also just because I love just watching Tom compete. Like, who doesn't? So the more Tom in my life, the better. So let's go, Tom. Let's go, Tom.
Fair enough. Brian?
I'm actually going to pick against the Den, which is shocking.
John's going to come bursting in here and go, what the hell, Brian?
Yeah, I'm sorry. But, I mean, everyone kind of, in my opinion, doesn't know how to handle Tom when they play against him. Like, how do you prepare yourself? Ethan just doesn't care. Like, Ethan literally comes in, plays the game, and leaves while sitting comfortably on his couch. And I mean, that's just as scary as not knowing what you're going up against with Tom. So, I mean, I don't think Ethan's going to be fazed by any of it, honestly. But Billy, stop it. But I think Ethan might not be fazed by it at all and just walk right through to the next round.
Molly, you going against your faction or are you going with the former champ?
I mean, I agree. I love watching Tom compete, and his dedication to the character is just chef's kiss perfection. And I think you're right, Brian. The way that he kind of, gets under the skin of other players or just like confuses other players the way he plays. I agree. I don't think Ethan is going to be fazed by it. And of course, I'm going to support the only remaining person of my faction left. Ethan, you got this.
Adam, what about you?
Yeah, this has been a fantasy matchup of mine for a while, so I'm glad it shook out this way. With all due respect to the previous competitors who availed themselves well, in my opinion. But Tom and Ethan is definitely one of those things where, like, if this were a video game, I would like prearrange that match and put in like 2 AIs to fight it out for my own. So I'm really excited to see how it shakes out. I think they actually have a comparable level of knowledge. I know people would bet on Ethan given his championship record and Tom's newer in singles, but Tom has a consistent accuracy rate compared to Ethan's as well. So I think it'll be very competitive. I would give Ethan a slight edge because of his experience, but Tom is more than capable of winning.
Yeah, it's going to be a barn burner. It is definitely going to be a barn burner. Okay, and then the final match of the bracket is Mr. Mark Riley and Jeff Snyder. I'll just quickly say that Snyder has turned my opinions on him, and I think he might wreck shop in this match like he has been. I'll pick Snyder to win this one. Adam, I'll go right back to you on this one. Who you got, Riley or Snyder?
I think it's going to be I anticipate it being closer than people might expect because Riley not only has kind of found his groove again with the game, but he also is from the original generation of players with Snyder. He's competed against and beaten Snyder in different formats before. So I know people are betting on Snyder now because of essentially a recency bias. Snyder played impressively against Paul. But even I think Snyder would admit that Paul's 5-pointer was a bit of a bastard. So in any case.
Hey, PJ watches our shows. Just letting you know.
No. I'm not saying it's a bad question.
I know. I just
the question. Yeah. I would have. Oof. But I think Paul. That was also one of the best matches Paul ever played. Give the guy some credit. Paul's one of the best players in the Showdown. And that match further confirmed that theory.
Yep.
It's not a theory anymore; it's just a fact. But Snyder, I do think, is motivated because he wants a chance to rematch Ethan. I know that. So I know he's going to be very motivated. But Riley's also the last man standing for the Finstock Exchange, so don't sleep on him.
Yes.
If I had to put money down, Snyder, but Riley is capable doing this.
All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap up tonight.
You're not going to ask the rest of us our opinions?
Oh, sorry. Oh, my bad. I thought we went around. My bad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm checking all the Streamlabs and stuff. That's on me. Molly, sorry. Go ahead. Snyder or Mark Riley. My bad, guys.
I agree with what you guys said.
Honestly, I do agree with everything Adam said.
If I had to be 100% honest,
if I had to put money on it, I would go with Snyder. But just because of, again, he seems more motivated. He seems really locked into the game. Riley has shown that he's getting more and more to that point. And I love Mark Riley, and I would love to see him win. But again, gun to my head, I'd say Snyder's probably going to win.
Last games, Riley gives him a much better chance up against Snyder. So, but I do think Snyder will still win. Brian?
I want Snyder to win because I want to see him play Ethan. That's literally the reason why I literally want to see that because I'd want to see Ethan. I know Ethan will crap talk to Snyder, and when Ethan crap talks, it's so funny. It's he's just always so calm and so nice and stuff, but there are certain people he's not gonna back down to, and that Snyder for sure is one of those. So that I just want to see that. That's literally the reason why I'm.
Good reason. That's good. Yeah. It's a good reason. Jill.
Yeah, I agree with what everyone's saying here. If I had to bet money on it, I'm gonna go with Snyder. But Riley's killing it in this tournament. I think Riley is playing the best he's ever played in this era of the Showdown. So I would, like what Adam said, he 100% has the capability to pull this off. But if I was betting in Vegas right now, I'm going to put my money on Snyder.
Definitely going to be interesting. 4 incredible matches. And I know someone actually put it in the chat earlier that we might not actually be getting 4 this week. They might be spread out 2 this week and 2 next week.
Yep.
Is that how it is? Oh, there we go. Okay. Good to know. So we don't have to be doing 4 reactions this week, guys. We can breathe it just a little bit. We can decompress just a little bit. So yeah, that is officially going to wrap up POV tonight. There we go. We got everybody's opinions on that match. I want to say to Adam, thank you so much for hanging out with us for an hour and a half, man. It was great to finally get to talk to you. We've talked about it a few times here, how we wanted to get you on the show, and it was perfect timing. It was a perfect storm after these last couple matches. And so thank you for hanging out for us for a while.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm honored to be here.
Well, good luck in your matches.
We'll expect you back when Deception starts making their run.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go. Yeah, you and Marisol both. We'll get both of you on.
Yes, we'll get you both on.
Yeah.
You would definitely benefit.
Oh, we know.
She would add a lot. So
Yeah, no, I definitely want to talk to her one day too. So, all right, well, to everyone watching live, thank you so much for hanging out with us in the questions and the Streamlab donations. Thank you to everyone. And then for you $20 patrons, real quick, give you guys a quick shout out for being generous donation supporters of ours. So we got Rachel, Samir, Kylie, Brandy, Luke, Billy, Canada Rocks, and our two newest, Reefton and Ricardo, who are our two newest patrons. Thank you so much for the support, guys. You guys will be getting a link to a hangout here in just a little bit to a little after show hangout with us. So stay tuned for that. And we'll go around the table real quick to let everyone know where they can find us online. Adam, I will start with you, sir.
yeah, well, I keep spelling it on all these shows, so there it is, right there. No, I don't. I don't have a huge online personality, but I'm happy to interact with film and Showdown fans on Twitter and Letterboxd at Eisenthor, right there, AIZANTHOR. I rate and review all the movies I watch on Letterboxd. I got nothing to hide on there. People can study my habits as much as they want. It won't teach them anything. I'm just telling you the movies I watched that day. So go check it out. I'm proud. I like writing little reviews and interacting with fellow fans. So check me out there.
Cool. Molly?
I'm on Twitter at Molly Damon and on Twitch also at Molly Damon. And you can find me and Alex talking all about Star Wars on Star Wars Explained. Squadrons is coming out this week. Get ready for lots of
life. Goodbye, life. Goodbye.
Bye.
Brian?
You can find me at POV on Instagram and Twitter, and someday, hopefully, Twitch.
Alex said
Jill?
he would help you.
Oh, thank you.
Jill?
I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Jilly Marie, 2 Y's, 2 E's. Sean helped me set up my Twitch stuff, so TBD on when I'm going to be streaming, again. But he is streaming. He's at Twitch at Sean Sully, and you can also catch him on the PJ Campbell Network on Box.
Box.
Which they will be filming their October episode in the next week or so. So stay tuned for that.
Nice. All right. So as for POV here, you can find us on Twitter at SchmodownPOV, right there above Brian. You guys, if you're interested in an after show hangout, monthly watch alongs, that type of stuff, hit that Patreon, check out the tiers and see what interests you the most. We're not on Instagram, so we're just on Twitter. Follow us there. As for myself, Twitter at Qui-Gon Jake, 2 N's. Because someone took it before me. Yes, Brian, I'm saying it. Yes, I'm saying it. And then Brian and I are also on another show called Apocalypse Movies. You can check us out on YouTube on there. So again, to Adam Collins, thank you so much for hanging out with us again. We look forward to your match in the next coming weeks and then having you back as well for the team's tournament stuff. And then for everybody else here, that is Molly, Brian, Jill, and myself. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you guys next week.
Thank you.